James, in terms of this week, clearly it'll have been a frustrating one in midweek to see the game called off so late.
Yeah, it was very frustrating for all of us. We were keen to get back to winning ways at home. It wasn't meant to be. The 24 volunteers when I arrived at the ground clearing the snow off the pitch were so fantastic to see that. What more motivation than to go and get 3 points after they've been working all day to do that. It wasn't meant to be though. We're very thankful for all those volunteers giving up their time to do that. That's outstanding effort. But hopefully they'll get their reward next time we play here at the Technique, and we can get the win for them in that game. But yeah, disappointing. But it was a downpour that no one, obviously it was forecast, but you can't go by a forecast. You can't call a game off by a forecast. So unfortunately, Kingston have had to travel. The downpour came and it was too much for the pitch to take.
And of course now it's yet another fixture that's got to be fitted into an already ridiculous schedule.
Yeah, it is. But, you know, I'd rather be playing games of football than be in isolation at home. So we've got to be thankful, and we're very blessed to do what we do every day.
Has it helped, though, with sort of a bit of rest and recovery for the squad, given that you had 4 games in 10 days before that?
You can see, yeah, I mean, it's pretty, if you use your common sense, we've had a lot of football, so yes, it's a positive spin on that, but we'd much rather be playing for games of football, I can assure you.
Addy Yussuf signed in the week. Pleased with that deal? What does he bring to the squad that you might not necessarily have had?
Well, obviously with the injury of Tom, we wanted to recruit anyway with Tom still fit. So the necessity came a bit quicker than perhaps we expected. Tom's obviously had his operation now. It was successful, but it's going to be probably a longer period out than we thought, which is disappointing for Tom and for us because he's such a big impact for us. Whether he's coming off the bench, whether he's starting games, he's got weapons, obviously. So we needed to recruit, and Addy fits the profile that I like. He's mobile, he's aggressive. I think he showed that in the game against Wrexham. Even though we dominated the game, he was always in the game himself. When it was played up to him, he was strong. He linked play. And obviously I'm familiar with him a couple of years ago when I was obviously working at our opponents tomorrow. He was a threat for Solihull. So I know a lot about him. Studied his game, and I know he's got a good relationship also with Kwasi, so hopefully they can link up. But not forgetting we've got Marcus as well.
Quite a deadline day story as well for him, wasn't it? On the way with one squad and then having to come round.
Yeah.
You can't quite make it up in football sometimes.
No, it was a late night here as well, waiting for him to arrive. So credit to everyone that got it over the line in time. Obviously, we needed international clearance before the deadline came, so that was why it was rather quickly done at the last minute, if that makes sense. Glad to get it done, and he's trained well yesterday, and he'll train well today, ready for obviously Tuesday.
What's the sort of timescale on Tom, by the way, in terms of now? Are you looking at a matter of months?
We are, yeah. We're looking at a lot more longer term, yeah.
Well, that's clearly disappointing. But when he comes back, when Nathan Tyson comes back, good options now up front for you to pick from.
Very good options, and it's always important when you play with 2 strikers like we do. We're looking to play 2 strikers at all times. We're going to win games. We might vary that depending on the opponent, but ideally we want 2 strikers on the pitch at all times, and it's important that we've got at least 2 players for each position.
Tom Whelan's appeal obviously was rejected. I mean, it's a blow, isn't it? Because with losing him for 3 games now.
It's really disappointing. I mean, I don't want to comment too much. I don't want to get myself in trouble, but not sure about that.
In terms of this weekend, I assume you've got a few players cup-tied for the FA Trophy.
We've got obviously Addy is cup-tied, and obviously Adam as well, who played at Concord, is cup-tied. But that's fine. That, you know, we've got a good, strong squad now, and there's very much competition for places. Trainings at the intensity that I want it, where people are fighting for that jersey, and the people that have got the jersey at the moment, they don't want to let it up. So it gives a couple of opportunities for people to come in. I thought the Gavin coming in against Dagenham done very well, conducted himself very well, showed his leadership in there, and he can play multiple positions. So sitting him in there in midfield worked really well. with 11 and with 10. So and also obviously he brought his set plays to the table as well. So he showed his worth, and it gives other people opportunities. But we mixed it up in the trophy the last 2 games, and it'll be no different tomorrow. We'll do that again.
Is it strange sort of preparing for the same fixture twice in a matter of days?
Yeah, I said it was very unusual when we played Solihull, same fixture twice in 3 days. But the reason I said that was because it was 2 league games. I mean, this is a cup and a league, and that happens. We've done our homework on Aldershot. Obviously, they played here, my second game in charge, and they haven't really much changed from that. They're very direct, don't make a lot of passes. We know what's coming, and we've done our work, and hopefully we can have an influence on how we want to play on the game.
Will you be looking to sort of switch things up between the 2 games in terms of your squad members, or going with your best team in both?
Well, my best team will be mixed up during the season. I'll rotate it to win games. That goes on players' performances, but also on how we expect to exploit the weaknesses of the opposition, and how we stop them as well. So it's a mix of things. There's different game plans for different teams in this division, but every team in this division, because Aldershot are in our division, poses a different challenge, and we've got to make sure we mix the team up correctly and have the right personnel in the right positions within our structure, but also remembering how we're going to influence the game will determine what team selection I go with.
You mentioned the goalless draw with them in your second game in charge. In terms of the progress that's been made since, how much is the team sort of now functioning and playing the way you like them to?
Well, even in that game, we made over 300 passes, and we were dominant. 50% of those passes, again, were over 50% were in the mid-third, which shows you that we had the territory. I think they only made 65 passes in the game. So we were very dominant, and we scored a goal that was actually onside. So, yes, I like to think that we've come forward in the 7 weeks, but it was a good performance in that second game, and really, there was only one winner in that game. So I'm sure it'll be a different kind of challenge in a cup game down there away from home on what looks like a scruffy pitch. So we're going to have to adapt. We have to be ready for the battle that's going to come. And first and foremost, you've got to run. And it's a running game. If you're the best player on the pitch, you get the ball for 90 seconds, up to 2 minutes. So you better know what you're doing for the rest of the 88 minutes, and that's running. And we've got to run hard tomorrow. Got to be organised. Small details matter. And then hopefully as the game goes on, we'll dictate the territory again if we can.
Fantastic opportunity to make the quarterfinals of a cup competition, isn't it?
It is. You win this one, you're 2 games away from Wembley, which is fantastic. And obviously this year the semi-finals are only 1 leg as well. They're normally 2 legs, which gives even more of a carrot, really. But we'll mix it up. We've mixed it up the last 2 games, and it will be no different tomorrow. People need opportunities, and they need to be match fit, ready for the schedule coming up. And the trophy gives you an opportunity for players to come in who've conducted themselves well in the Boston and the Brackley game.
Have you been practicing penalties?
Perhaps. Don't want to give too much away. And I don't want to say too much on that, just in case it goes to penalties again. You never know.
I mean, in terms of the trophy, though, as well, the further you go, there's prize money attached to that. And clearly with the situation as it is in the country, with the club and everything in non-league, that's important as well.
It is important. Obviously, the financial outlay, if you get through, is important. Of course, we'd like, obviously, the financial rewards that come with going through. But I don't think that'll be in the minds of the board or the minds of the players or the management team. It's a cup game. It's intrinsically motivated to get through for yourself, for your pride, and for the club, for the community, and that's what we want to do tomorrow. We want to put smiles on faces, and certainly getting into the quarterfinals would do that without putting too much pressure on ourselves.
And a couple of games for you that hold a little bit of something extra as well. How much are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, my time at Aldershot was very successful, and I learnt so much there. I've said that without going over old ground. They gave me the opportunity, Shahid and John Leppard there, and I've got great relationships with them both still. It's a club really close to my heart. I always look out for their results because of the opportunity they gave me and what I learnt there. But make no mistake about it, I want Chesterfield to win tomorrow, and 100% everything will be going into winning, and there'll be no there'll be nothing taken lightly, if that makes sense, because of my soft spot for my old club. But that's not forgetting my roots. They've done a lot for me in my career. I wouldn't be sat here without them. So I'm very grateful for my time and enjoyed my time there. But it's about getting there and turning them over tomorrow.
Clearly the vote's taking place in terms of the future of the season. There's a deadline attached to that of the 28th of this month. Is that too long a process, really? There seems to be this uncertainty with, some clubs in favour, some clubs against. We're seeing statements coming out from different clubs every day. This clearly can't be helpful for anyone. For me, it sort of seems that a resolution needs sorting sooner rather than later.
Well, obviously, I'm only concerning myself with Chesterfield. I don't really waste too much energy on anybody else or what the others' philosophies are or how they communicate in the public eye. That's nothing to do with me. It's not for me to comment. But as you've asked me that question, what I will say is that personal platforms shouldn't be used as individuals for a spokesperson for clubs. It shouldn't happen on social media. It's causing a lot of bickering between clubs. I think it needs to be more in-house. I think the vote needs to be, if you're voting, of course you make a public statement through the club on that, but I think personal statements and that just is creating a whirlwind and a lot of bickering. And that's not what we're about in the non-league. It's about being together. People have the reasons, the clubs have their reasons. I'm sure they're voting the best interests of their clubs at heart with no ulterior motives of their league position. I can imagine that clubs will be doing that, knowing how much good work goes on in the clubs in the non-league. And it's about voting and sticking to the club statement rather than individuals coming out and giving personal opinions on as such as of other clubs. It's unnecessary. And we've got to see the best in each other, especially during this period, because it's been a tough period for football, but it's been a tough period for the world. And we need to show a bit of love at the moment. And I think non-league needs to come together.
Because, of course, there's some teams that are not going to fulfil their FA Trophy fixtures this weekend. It looks like it. And like you said, the knock-on impact in terms of the integrity of the competitions comes into play, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of outliers at the moment. Again, it's not for me to comment on whether teams are going to play in the trophy or not tomorrow. That's out of my remit. But what I'll just stick to what I just said there. I just think personal platforms shouldn't be used as for opinions, individuals' opinions. That shouldn't work. People in high positions within clubs have a responsibility, and we've got to stop the bickering. We've got to come together. We're all in the same boat after all, and we all want the best for the National League pyramid.
Just on the signing of Addy Yussuf, how excited are you at his arrival at the club?
I'm really excited to add Marcus and Kwasi as obviously two fit strikers as well, for him to come in as well. I think it gives us options. I think it gives us a lot of movement up there, a lot of athleticism, the three of them. And that's not to say they can't play as a three as well.
And that partnership between Addy and Kwasi is getting people quite excited. Is that something that you're looking forward to seeing as well? But of course, not forgetting Marcus as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Addy and Marcus and Kwasi, Addy and Kwasi. But that's not forgetting Nathan as well. And also when Tom comes back fit. So we've got options. Unfortunately, two of the five are injured at the moment. But also we can play in different ways like we showed at Bournemouth.
Is that it for signings now?
Yeah, I've got no plans to sign anybody else. I think that's the group we're going with. I think the turnover needed to happen. It's taken 8-9 weeks for it to happen. Some might say there's 13 players, 13 additions is a lot. But for me, I think to average 2 points a game shows that we needed those changes. It's never personal. It can't be emotionally attached to the decision making in regards to, okay, what's happened in the past, what certain players have done for the past of the club in promotions out of other leagues. I think it's got to be. It's done. We've done it with the right intentions, and hopefully we can continue the form and show why we've made those decisions.
And overall, how do you assess the business that you've done? Looking at from the outside in, it looks like you've really improved the squad.
I think we've got more athleticism in the team. I think we've got a better peak age. So the age has come down in the squad. I think that was important. I think the age was too high for how we want to play, the expansive way we want to play. and that requires a lot of athleticism, like I just said. We're running far more. Our intensity is much better. Our turnovers in the final third is better. So yes, we've got quite a few positive signs that the recruitment's been right, and obviously that's not forgetting the existing players that are part of the squad.
Would you expect to see Tom Denton return this season?
I'm hoping so. Obviously, he's had the operation. There's going to be a delay further than the 10 weeks we anticipated, but only time will tell on that.
And how is he in himself? Obviously, he must be relieved to have the operation, but like you say, maybe a little bit down, given that it might be a little bit longer than first expected.
Yeah, we understand, obviously, in the world now as well, mental health is obviously a big thing, particularly with the COVID world, and him obviously self-isolating for 10 days before the operation. So he's had some time alone there with his family in the house, and afterwards now. We're hoping to get him in today, and we're obviously in regular contact with him about how he is, his mental state, and we're doing everything we can as a medical department and also as a staff and as a playing group to make sure he's in good spirits. Injuries is part and parcel of the game, and that's a test for you sometimes. That can you roll your sleeves up, can you recover right, do the right things and come back stronger, and I'm sure Tom will.
It's only been 10 days or so, but how's Joe Rowley coming along with his hamstring injury?
Yeah, he's actually really ahead of where we thought. He's 10 days, but he's started jogging again lightly. He's in a good place, and actually the 6 weeks that I initially outlaid, he might be coming back before that. So I'm really pleased with his progress at the moment, and what I'm hearing from the medical team this morning.
How big a boost will that be then to potentially get him back sooner than expected?
I think it's a boost more for Joe than anything else. I think he's chomping at the bit to play games. He broke through in the team a little bit and obviously started his first league game for a while. Started really well. I think he's just really eager to get back into the change room in that environment and really get going again. And I'm really excited with his new contract. He settles down now and really focuses on developing his game, but also having an impact on where we want to be.
And just finally, is there any update on when we might see Nathan Tyson?
Yeah, he's had a neural setback, so it's not necessarily the hamstring. He's had a slight setback, and we can't really give you a time on that at the moment. But I know I said end of January, but unfortunately the setback he's had has meant that he's slightly behind. But we're working every day hard on it. He's working as hard as he can, and hopefully he can be back in the fold as quickly as possible.
Thanks for your time, James. And
thanks,
good luck
Liam.
Tomorrow.
All the best.
See you tomorrow. Thank you.
Morning, James.
Morning.
With all the enforced breaks, is it difficult to keep the team focused and match fit?
No, because we've got a really focused and strong group. I think we're in a good place. We're really excited about playing tomorrow. We know what we can achieve by winning tomorrow. A win tomorrow gives us just 2 games from Wembley in the trophy final. So it's a nice big game to play in. And these are the games as a player that you work and you do the extra bits when no one's watching over, because you take your time tomorrow and you make sure you give everything you can for the club and for yourself on the pitch.
Do you think the breaks have affected stamina and the ability to play 90 plus minutes?
No, not at all. I think the players are sharp. The break on Tuesday, I think, although we wanted to play the game clearly and we really wanted to get those 3 points at home, I think, you can get the positives from that and say we needed that little break because we've had a hard run with a few injuries. So it's given us a little chance to regroup, give the players a couple of days off, and we're obviously training yesterday was really sharp, really pleased with it, and hopefully we can do that again this morning and then travel down and obviously smooth running into the game on Saturday.
With 13 signings, it takes time for a team to gel. How do you feel that's coming along?
I'm happy with what we're doing in possession. I think we're building play from deeper areas more positively, if that makes sense. We're making inroads in the and penetrating the mid third in different ways, short and long. We have a bit more movement on the second line now as well. So that's something we've been developing and working on a lot in training in the last 2 weeks. Because I think we we picked up the out of possession stuff really quickly. Like I said, the stats don't lie on that as well. The amount of turnovers we're getting higher up the pitch, the amount of penalty area entries we're conceding is minimal. I mean, to match Dagenham with 10 men on penalty area entries, really impressive. So it shows that our line's high enough to affect it higher up the pitch and minimise shots on our goal. So I think we've done that really well. Just this in possession stuff now, the building blocks and that's going in. It's going to take time, and who knows how far we can go on that.
Well, Aldershot are up next, and you got them twice in a short space of time. Seems to be par for the course, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What do you see as their main threats?
They can catch you, like I said, on the home game, because they pick up odd positions sometimes where perhaps you'd expect the opposition to get into shape. They don't, so they can catch you if you're not focused. They're a very, very big side from what I've seen against their home game on Tuesday against Barnet. They load the box from every set play, and they're direct in what they do, and that's fair play. That's their way. There's no problem with that. You know, football's seen through different eyes, and there's no holy grail to how you want to play. You have to respect every opponent, and we respect them. But we're going to have an impact on what we want to do on the pitch, and that's really important to remember. How are we going to influence it? What are our strengths? And how can we dictate the space and the ball, like I keep saying?